Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 576 for July 3rd, 2024. And how's it going, everybody? I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks for clicking on the Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course the day before 4th of July. Well, we hope you have a lot of fun, but remain safe. And let's go say hi to our host to hear what they're up to for this long week. Or long weekend, I should say. Hey, Gordo, how you doing? Starting at the top.
I am safe. We're all safe down here, getting ready for the 4th. Everybody hydrate. The whole country is blanketed by hot weather. And thank goodness, because that's what we're going to talk about. Tonight is hot weather and long range 2 meters.
Excellent, excellent. I'm very excited. This always comes around when it's the hottest. And that's kind of when you want to be outside anyway, because it's just so muggy and you got to go get some shade, go sit up somewhere. Dawn, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Doing well, yeah. It's brutally hot and muggy down here as well in the Great Southern Steam Bath. But of course, we must remember this is a very weird hurricane season already. You got Beryl, which is the fastest Category 5 ever.
Wow.
The fastest storm to develop in that part of the ocean ever. That's more like a August, September breeding ground for storms. And of course, Category 5, as it raked over the Windward Islands, Category 4 going over Jamaica. And it should be decreasing from there. But of course, we have all of those folks down there in our thoughts and prayers, especially those of us here on the Gulf Coast and along the Texas coast, the Texas Gulf Coast, who are going to be watching that pretty closely as well. Shouldn't be a big deal once it gets over the into the Bay of Campeche, but as big a deal anyway. But still, you know, it's a 6-month-long season, and we're just in the first couple of weeks, or the first month of it. So, long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So we're watching the tropics, and I have to work on 4th of July, but that's all right because I got Saturday and Sunday off. So I'm a happy
excellent
boy.
Yeah, 'tis the season for hurricanes, so everybody
Yes.
be incredibly more safe than you normally are, I guess, or be prepared, and that's always a good thing.
Yes.
And looking wonderful, all festive. Amanda's with us. It got the light up tiara for the 4th of July, and you're kind of in a different location, Amanda. What's going on?
I am, yes. I'm camper portable this weekend, 10,000 feet up. Where Jeff and I made it out to Pike National Forest. So in the nick of time of the show, we got the antenna up and got the 705 running. And behind me, you can see I got Kenwood and another Icom. We don't have the antenna connected for that yet. But guys, at the end of the show, I'm going to take you all through a tour of the camp. And you can see what antenna we have set up and see if I can make some QSOs while you all watch. We'll do it at 10 watts on the 705. So I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah,
Very cool.
It's either going to be a whole screw up or it's going to be excellent. And either way, it'll be fun. So also, don't forget, I'm watching the chat room and we'll take your questions. And I'm going to reiterate, Josh and Gordo, be safe this weekend, please. We don't want to read about any blown up hands. You need those for your CW keys anyway. So, all right, Gordo.
Oh, I have one more thing I forgot to
Yes,
mention.
sir.
I forgot to mention. The Young Ham of the Year awards, the judging committee have reached their decision. We will have an announcement in the Newsline section tonight of Ham Nation. An
Excellent
announcement, Young Ham of the Year stuff. So stay tuned.
Ooh, I'm excited. Okay, Gordo, over to you.
All right. Well, thanks, Amanda. And you're up at 10,000 feet. Boy, that's got to be
10,000.
cold up there. Well, tonight we're going to talk all about hot weather. So, Josh, if you'll go ahead and roll the show. The hot weather occurs, of course, down in the troposphere, and that's where 2 meters, 440, 1270, and microwaves are most affected in getting extra range. Not the stratosphere, not the mesosphere, not the thermosphere, not the ionosphere. It's way down here next to Earth, the tropozone. So when people say, yeah, boy, I was working repeaters 200 miles away, it must have been Skip. No, it wasn't Skip. It was tropo. Well, let's take a look and see what this tropo stuff is all about. Well, here it is, good old air. And air contains nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, helium, and a little bit of methane if you've been to a local ham radio ham fest. But that is what the local air is all about. And the higher we go, like Amanda, you got to be chilly up there, because for every 300 feet of altitude, we lose 1 degree Fahrenheit. So a mile up, 5,000 feet, we lose 20 degrees. Amanda's up, let's see, you up 10,000 feet, Amanda?
Almost exactly 10,000 feet, yep.
So you've lost about 40 degrees. What's your temperature outside?
It's 64. So
Yeah.
it's still it's nice. It's livable.
So Amanda's got the cool air. Now, also moisture. For every 1,000 feet, we lose a half a gram of moisture. So Amanda, shake your head so everybody can see that there's not much moisture in the air. And there we go. All right. And pressure, likely your ears went popping as you gained altitude, because normally pressure is about 30.1, but for every 30 feet, you lose a millibar. And for every kilometer, you use 100 millibars. You lose it. So things happen logarithmically in air. And that's what gives us the calculations to be able to figure out how far we can talk on VHF and UHF. And normally we know we can talk about 4/3 of the optical horizon, or about 10 or 15% further when everything is normal. And for those of you that want to know what normal is, we'll give you that formula in just a moment, because normal plays a big important part in range extension when you get on the 2-meter band. First of all, things are going to be happening good on 2 meters, 220, 440, 1270, and the higher bands. When you see the weather maps and you see confluences of cold air above you and below you, but right in the middle, you're in the middle of a high pressure system. And we know that a high pressure system sends everybody to the beach or to the lakes, and the birds are doing their thing. And you look out there, and here in Southern Cal, we see a local island called Catalina Island, and there's a little dip right in the center of it, just below those 3 make those seagulls. And keep your eye on that dip, because it's going to change optically when we have a tropospheric duct. And we love tropospheric duct. So as we told you just before, the higher we go in altitude, we decrease in water vapor. Temperature also decreases, and that's normal air. And the normal air gives us a distance, and you can calculate distance of your VHF radio by taking the square root of 17 times the height of your antenna, or if you work it out, it's about 1.4 multiplier. So you can almost just take the square root of anything. If you're up 100 feet on VHF, you're going to see the horizon at about square root of 100, about 10. Well, that's normal air. And in normal air, we normally get a slight bending of your VHF and UHF signal. And there is normal air. But when things begin to heat up, and we get plenty of heat ups here along the center of the world, especially with hurricanes as well, especially Dawn, you've got a biggie coming. So I don't want you out there with your umbrella. Get on the air, because before it hits, you're going to work some real DX on 2 meters. But these are the areas most affected with range extension, where operators are able to go on the air and tune in a station literally hundreds, if not thousands of miles away on 2 meters. Well, I mean, listen to this signal coming from Southern California to Hawaii, where you see that arrow to the left. Listen carefully.
The reception of 2 beacons, the higher one on 144.170.
That's 2,500 miles, and the beacon comes in for days.
And the lower one on 432.075. And if you listen real carefully, the beacon on 1296.250.
Now, you heard that echo of that other noise. That was radar. We get a lot of radar when we get up there. So some of the big world's records occur down in Australia and occur along Southern California coastlines. But hey, those of you on the East Coast, you've got some records that could be set as well. We've got a trophy even for that. But what keys the excitement on a high-pressure system is a hurricane down south. And Don, you got a good opportunity that you're probably going to be able to work on just a small little high VHF, UHF dual band base station antenna along the Florida coast. So you may want to listen for repeaters there, because what this what this hurricane is sending in through the high pressure system are bands of disturbed air density and disturbed air temperature, and they call that tropospheric ducting. And the ducting occurs when we have a different medium that our VHF, UHF, and microwaves are going through. We can detect a duct because we have all sorts of soundings that the military and the weather service do, but you can almost detect that you're going to have a good ducting day when you just get out there and look around and go, what the heck is going on? It's hotter than heck, and I'm seeing some weird stuff, because what occurs on 2 meters, 440, 1270 and up also occurs at optical levels as well. In other words, you can see it. So this tomorrow morning, get out there and look at your paper or on the computer and see where all the high pressure systems are. And Amanda, we aren't going to forget about you in the Rocky Mountains. There's a good high pressure system there. So you have the potential of working some other stations over long ranges. So look for the big H for high pressure system. And when we talk about a high pressure system, we're talking about it so dramatic that it's going to become stable, and sometimes begins to form in such a large area that all this hot, high weather pressure begins to sink. And we call sinking air subsidence. And what it does is it begins to fall down because the high pressure is heavier than the warm air below it. And it begins to come over a region, if there's not much wind, as a tropospheric duct where the temperature increases about 10 degrees warmer. Now, wait a minute. It was way up there in the cold area like Amanda is at 10,000 feet. And down here at about 800 feet, it's getting warmer. Why is that? Well, when you squish air, it gets warm. When you fill up an oxygen tank or a scuba tank, it gets warm. So that's what's happening. The air gets squeezed by the cool air below it and the sinking high pressure above it, and it's in that warm air mass that tropospheric ducting begins to occur. Well, out here along the West Coast, we can see it. We can cough it. We can smell it. It just hangs right off the seawater. The seawater is about 68 degrees. The air just above it is probably 72 to 74. But maybe 100 feet up, it comes up to about 80 or 90 degrees. And that's this hot weather that they have inland, not along the coast, but inland to Southern California. And the key is, where does that hot weather extend to without interruption? Well, the Hepburn map. Hepburn is a great source of information, and the Hepburn report is able to give you some conditions that you're able to take a look at and see on the computer. And you can look that up at dx.qsl.net/propagation/tropo. But the Hepburn report is DX Info Center. And when you spell Info Center, it's CENTRE. Just Google that and it'll come up, and you'll be able to choose West Coast or East Coast or Gulf. And as you can tell there by the red, we've got a good tropo duct, probably because of a hurricane to the south of us. And this is a good example that we're going to show you live here at the conclusion of the shots here of what occurs is it's almost like a waveguide up on microwave frequencies. And what the waveguide does is it channels energy within that waveguide with almost no attenuation, almost no loss. And that's going to allow your VHF, UHF, and even higher microwave signals, which Josh and I did up at 10,000 megahertz during field day, to just travel on and on and on, traveling within that tropospheric duct. Now, visually, you can tell a tropospheric duct appearance by looking down at the roadway and seeing all the water. That's not water. That's a refraction of the air above it. Not reflection, but refraction of the air and the blue sky above it. So when you begin to see this kind of stuff on asphalt, you can be assured that tropospheric ducting is going to occur from 2 meters on up. Asphalt on this temperature day was about 120 degrees. We stopped and took a thermometer reading. 1 inch above it, it was 148 degrees. So that stratification called subsidence is what's going to trigger a tropospheric duct, but in your case, it's going to occur well above you, not below you. So when it gets smoggy, get ready for this trapped air to trap your signal. As you see here, that it's trapping the signals coming to us visually of those truckers ready to enter what they think is a big puddle, but it isn't. It's the sky above. Oh, remember that island? Well, now we've got a real tropospheric duct forming up. And for years in Southern California, we would tune to the 2 meter single sideband frequency, 144.170, and we'd listen for the Hawaiian beacon. And the Hawaiian beacon would come in on CW. Well, unfortunately, those days of the beacon and Paul KH6HME operating are no longer here because Paul isn't here, and you know how many things on ham radio depend on that one key person. But we wanted to see whether or not it took a big sophisticated single sideband or CW rig to work tropospheric ducting. And we said, let's go from single sideband and both change over to FM and see what happens. Take a listen here.
Sideband now, this is King Henry 6 Hotel Mike Echo on the road in Hawaii. Single sideband, and I am going to go to FM right now. Now I am on FM. This is King Henry 6 Hotel Mike Echo on the island of Hawaii. Saying hello to everybody there in Southern California. How do you copy me, Jordan?
Wow. So how do we copy? Well, it tells us that when the tropo is in, you don't necessarily need to do CW or single sideband. You can work it quite effectively on a good old 2 meter FM radio. Oh my gosh, look at this. Now looking at the island optically, the tropo duct has created a bridge where there's really not a bridge. And now it's a giant open area. And on this particular day, we were hearing FM mobile stations just outside of Honolulu, as well as on the Big Island, coming all the way over here on 2 meters via their repeaters or on Simplex 146.52. And you can imagine the hams going, you're where? Well, we're here in Southern California. Get out of here. You're not in Hawaii. You can't make it that far. Well, they were 2,500 miles away, coming in loud and clear. Then we saw this tanker that was coming by, and we saw, what the heck is that on tropospheric ducting that is refracting and reflecting their signal to the right? That's the image of the tanker. Now, wait a minute. Let me just take another look at that. Yep, It is. So during intense tropospheric ducting, where temperature is about 10 to 15 degrees above the normal water temperature, just above the water level, and the temperature above, which always gets colder, it's that band of warm air that creates some mighty excitement out there. And here is another vessel that you see coming into the port of Los Angeles upside down on itself during one of those big tropospheric days. So try FM. You do not need a huge antenna. Listen to this, where antenna beams actually decrease the signal when you're maybe a few degrees off.
To illustrate that beam pointing toward Hawaii to capture the beacon is indeed important, it's not as critical as you might think. We'll call off the changes in beam heading off of dead on 0 degrees. Here we are right on 0 degrees on. There is 5 degrees off, 10 degrees off.
Yeah, we about lose them at 10 degrees. But the deal is, if you have just a good white fiberglass vertical dual band antenna, well, there's no more beacons really to tune into easily. But there are tons of them by the National Weather Service on 162, the distant repeaters on a frequency between 146.94 to below 146.82. Tune around there, and you may say, gosh, I'm really hearing signals going a lot further. Look at this picture, and you see the landmass that's extending out from that rock. And it's definitely visible as something there, as when you tune into the bands, and you'll be able to hear signals coming in 200 to 300 miles away. And if you look real carefully on the right-hand side of the screen, right down at water level, that's actually an upside down and a right side up lighthouse that is very ominously looking when during the tropospheric duct. Well, there's the legendary Chip Margelli, K7JA. Janet, KL7MF, says she's doing fine, and thank you for remembering her as well as her late husband. And we go down to the beach to work tropo, and we find out that on FM, you can work tropo to Hawaii or down into Mexico or sometimes up to the Bay Area quite nicely, easily, until the lifeguards come by and say, what are you doing here on the beach? Well, this is our annual beach Thanksgiving operation. Wanted the whole story. Well, thank goodness the lifeguard, after he grilled me for about 2 minutes, said, Gordo, I took your class back in the 70s. Yeah, so it was fun to meet old friends. And yeah, sometimes you may get stopped on the top of a mountaintop when working tropo. So again, these are the tropo paths. They especially enhance during emergencies. And look at some of these slides that you see there. There's a good tropo between hot weather and cold weather coming through. But the big deal is hurricanes. So, Don, we're thinking about you and the potential hurricanes. Remember, the Hawaiian station is still on the air, but they're doing digital now, and they're sort of doing it just whenever they want to do it with companions, not just an open digital signal. So the beams I have, I've got them pointed toward Arizona, New Mexico, and the Hawaiian beacon takes advantage when it did of the big tropo. And you'll see that KH6HME even made it all the way here on good old amateur television. So 144-200 if you have a weak signal radio. That's Paul Lieb. That's a Hawaiian station. FT8 can also work tropo, you bet. So when you see the sun as an image on itself, you can be assured that tropo weather is right around the corner. So I encourage all of you to get your 2-meter radio going and be able to normally see a signal that looks like this, but when it gets into that tropo area that looks like this, you can see it right there. You see that it gets caught up like a waveguide, and it goes and goes and goes. So July is the month So take advantage of hot weather. Tune around on FM on your mobile or your home station, even a handheld if you're on the top of a hill, and be prepared for tropospheric ducting, a fascinating area of ham radio operation. So now let's take a look at some of the Icom rigs that'll be just right for a little tropo ducting.
Fun, sun, and QSO. Wherever you go, keep the fun going with one of Icom's go-to portables or remote rigs. The IC705 and IC7300 radios both feature a large touchscreen with real-time spectrum scope and waterfall display for intuitive functions and setting operation. So kick back, enjoy the breeze, and make those QSOs with ease. The IC705 portable radio provides base station features and performance in the palm of your hand. From HF to 50, 144, or 440 MHz, enjoy a wide variety of bands in the D-Star DV, single sideband, CW, RTTY, AM, and FM modes. This handheld also includes an RF direct sampling system, wireless LAN and Bluetooth connectivity, an internal GPS receiver, and more. The IC7300 is an industry first to use an RF direct sampling system and an entry-level HF radio. This high-performance radio includes an audio scope function, IP+, class-leading RMDR and phase noise characteristics, 15 discrete bandpass filters, and a built-in automatic antenna tuner. This compact and innovative radio will far exceed your expectations. Bring the fun wherever you are by going remote. The optional RSBA1 remote control software allows you to operate your Icom from a portable PC. For those of you with an IC7300, head on over to IcomAmerica.com and download the latest firmware to get Icom's new digital pre-distortion capabilities. This technology corrects nonlinear distortion at the final amplifier stage by applying inverse distortion at the pre-distortion section in the FPGA unit in advance. For more information about Icom's amateur radios and to locate a dealer, visit IcomAmerica.com/amateur today. For the love of ham radio.
Hey, huge thank you to Icom for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. We really do appreciate it. And they share the love to all of you every time we go live after you click that Enter Now button and give them a little bit of information, email, call sign, that kind of thing. They'll pick 3 swag pack winners, and the swag pack winners for this show are David H, KE6JAE, Darby L, KK7SWA, and Joe S, N8KYE. But then at the end of the month, they pick a radio to give away, and they've selected, let's see, what is June? We're picking June's winner today. An ID 52, and that's going to John H, KF8BGB. Well, congratulations, John, and all the winners. And so next month when we're alive at the end of the month, they're going to pick another radio winner, and you can see it on the website here. So that's awesome. Thanks again to Icom. And I wanted to take a quick minute to say, well, a minute, we could probably do it faster than that, but shout out to Hayden, Ham Radio DX. He's in the chat, and he's actually also a big tropo ducting guy and sporadic E guy, so we really like Hayden a lot. He's a fantastic channel. In fact, he and I have done some videos on tropo and sporadic E, and he's just a great guy. So make sure you go check him out. And Andy Callie, thank you so much for being a member. Then we got 2 super chats, which we don't get too many of those, so I thought I'd say thank you. First thing every morning before my coffee and meditation, I watch a Josh video. Well, I don't know how I help for meditation, but ham radio is pretty meditative. And then, where was the other one? Eric says, look at those images. Flat Earth confirmed, from Gordo's images earlier. So, I don't know. I think Eric's putting us on there. But thank you very much for the super chats. And again, big thank you to Icom. All right, Don, I'm ready for the news update.
All right. Listen, getting back to what Gordo was saying about the Hepburn report, there's one piece of information that I've been looking for, and I cannot find it on the Hepburn report, and that is when the calla lilies are in bloom. And if you get that, you're old.
Man.
Gordon gets it, don't you, Gordon? Catherine Hepburn.
Catherine,
the calla lilies are in bloom. Yeah, exactly. All right, well, enough of that. That's not why you tuned in. Let's go ahead and get the news of the week from Newsline. We'll get the solar report from Dr. T, and in the Newsline report, little YHOTY news. Let's roll it.
Oh, Harold.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2435, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. We begin this week's report by visiting some amateurs in Indiana who seized the opportunity to add an earthquake awareness exercise to this important annual drill.
Field Day took on an expanded role as a disaster preparedness opportunity in Marion County, Indiana. Members of the Indianapolis Radio Club W9JP used the two-day ARRL event to raise awareness about earthquake preparedness. Indiana sits atop the New Madrid fault line, which is a seismic zone where earthquakes can occur. The club's Field Day coordinator, Jeff Hammer, N9NIC, told Newsline, quote, "It was a seamless operation. The setup for Field Day replicated the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service deploying to assist a government entity," end quote. Although the earthquake exercise was over by the time Field Day began, the seismic theme stayed with everyone throughout the ARRL event. Stopping by, local visitors learned that what they were observing at Field Day might one day help save their lives if a disaster message had to get through. This is Andy Morrison, K9 AWM.
AMSAT is shutting down its mail alias service, citing hacking as one of the reasons.
Users of AMSAT's mail alias service have been asked to migrate to different email accounts as soon as possible as AMSAT prepares for the member amenity shutdown on the 1st of August. In a note to its members, AMSAT cited past instances of hacking and email account hijacking, which has an impact on its ability to operate it in an affordable manner. AMSAT wrote, quote, "It has come to the point where the AMSAT volunteer IT staff can no longer keep up with the maintenance requirements to keep the alias mail list clean and to work with email gateways to remove blocks," end quote. To use a member's mail alias on amsat.org, all a sender needed to know was the ham radio call sign of their intended recipient. They did not need to know their actual email address. AMSAT believes now that, all things considered, the funds saved from the shutdown are better invested in satellite development for members. This is Dave Parks, WB8ODF.
If you think there's something funny about this week's final story, you're right. It's about using memes on the air. Yes, we're talking about memes, not beams. Some of ham radio's youngest operators are on the air through August 15th, celebrating some clever, unusual call signs and spreading the smiles as they make contact.
Imagine logging onto the call sign DL0 LOL in Germany or GBO OTY in England. How about OO0F in Belgium? These are valid call signs that young radio operators in some countries are using for the 4th annual Meme Appreciation Special Event. It's mostly for fun and amusement. The young operators in Canada who started this madness in 2022 explain the overwhelming philosophy on their website using these words, quote, "Why the heck do you do this? Boredom, mischief, and too much free time," end quote. They confess there's also a ploy of sorts to attract more young ops who believe that people can sometimes be allowed to get silly on the air. Operators are using FT8 and SSTV in addition to SSB, and they're even activating some POTO locations. Listen on all of HF, but don't be surprised if some of these call signs show up on 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and the QO100 satellite. Visit mememonth.ca. That's mememonth, one word, .ca for details. Remember, these memes can be a scream. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Before we go, I am proud to announce that the judges have made their decision, and the 2024 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year is going to be announced very soon. We invite you to join us at the Huntsville Hamfest on Saturday, August 17th, as we honor this amazing young radio amateur. Many thanks to our corporate sponsors, CQ Communications, Yazoo USA, Heil Sound, and Radio Waves Antennas, as well as the Huntsville Hamfest. More details at hamfest.org. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Andy Morrison, K9AWM, Dave Parks, WB8ODF, Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. Happy Independence Day, America. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We're getting hit with some mild solar storms, but thankfully solar flares are quieting down just in time for Hurricane Beryl. Those stories and more in the news this week. Space weather this week is really calming down compared to last week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we do still have a lot of active regions in Earth view, but a lot of them are really clustered here in the south. In fact, this set of bright regions right here, this is the old Gannon region that is making its third trip across Earth view. But luckily this time things have really disintegrated a bit. It's made up of smaller regions that aren't all that flare active, and that is a godsend considering Hurricane Beryl is like a category 4 or 5 right now, and it's barreling down on Jamaica. So we're really appreciative that this region has managed to be quiet this time around. However, the area around it is still reasonably unstable. In fact, you can see some filaments here. Back about midday on the 29th, you can see this filament launch, whoosh, right like that. As we take a look at this in coronagraphs, you can see a gorgeous structure, very dense structure. This is moving out to the mainly the southwest of Earth, but you can also see this wispy little finger here. This is actually what is one of the mild solar storms that's actually grazing Earth right now. We have been getting a little bit of an enhancement, even some aurora at high latitudes over the last couple days, mainly due to this structure. We'll talk more about it in a minute, as well as another one we'll see in just a second. In fact, as we take a look at the region 3729, we see a little bit of a brightening right in here, and region 3733, you can see a little bit brightening right there. That was also a solar storm launch, and it's really hard to see this in coronagraphs because we had this freestanding structure that's moving very, very slowly. But if you look carefully, you'll see a kind of a wall move right through this structure. And I'll try to show it to you right there. If you could see that moving through, that was a partially Earth-directed solar storm. And that one, luckily, has been also modeled by both NOAA and by NASA. So we'll talk more about those storms. And we're expecting that one to be hitting us here over the next day. Once again, a very weak and mild storm. So we're not expecting all that much. But outside of solar storm launches, we have been getting a little bit of flare activity. You can see region 3730 emerged here over the last day or two, and it has been firing off some very low-level M-class flares just sporadically, but really not lasting all that long. And again, that's good news. We really don't want to be seeing any big solar flares right now because that makes it hard on the amateur radio bands for those emergency responders to the hurricane. And that brings us to the east limb here. This region, a set of regions, we've been expecting this set of regions to be rotating into Earth view, and we haven't been quite sure whether they'd be big flare players because last time around they were big flare players. But luckily, as we take a look at the STIX instrument from the solar orbiter on the sun's far side, we can actually see that even though we have been seeing a lot of flare activity on the sun's far side, moving right where we expect to see these regions, right about center disk, and then moving off to the west limb on the sun's far side, which means moving into Earth view. So we have been seeing a bit of flare activity, but believe it or not, most of these flares have been below the R1 radio blackout level. And that is great news because that means that the regions here on the east limb are likely going to rotate into Earth view and not give us all that much of a problem. But we do have some new regions rotating into Earth view as well, and we're going to talk about those in just a minute. And now returning to those mild solar storms that are on their way to Earth, we take a look at our solar storm prediction model, NLOL. Now this is NOAA's version of the model. The top panel's density, the bottom panel's velocity. You're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. Now as we set this solar storm model in motion, you can see some of these solar storms that have been launched over this past week, really slow. Most of them, you can see this one is that big one that was going southwest of Earth, but you can see a few little Earth-directed wisps types of solar storms coming at us. And it really makes for a very strange kind of timeline here. But NOAA is expecting that we've had just kind of a little bit of a graze passage from that one solar storm, the first one, that big filament that was going southwest, didn't give us much. And indeed, we have been experiencing some really mild conditions. It's a little bit of a roar at high latitudes, but not a lot to get excited about. The second solar storm is going to be coming in through here and through this mess here. And NOAA's expecting to see it right here about the 4th early on. And that could give us a little bit of a bump up. Probably not expecting all that much. It's going to be another wispy mini solar storm. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you might get a little bit of a show. Not expecting anything at mid latitudes. In fact, maybe not even noticing anything at all. But we'll talk more about that in the 5-day. Now, as we also take a look at NASA's prediction, if I set there, again, this is an Enlil model, but we're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. Setting it in motion, you'll see that second wispy solar storm being launched. This solar storm, again, slightly to the south of Earth, causing not much of an impact here, but we're expecting something right about late on the 4th into the 5th, as you can see here. And that's, again, going to be a kind of a minor solar storm, maybe a little bit of something. That's going to be followed up by a little bit of fast wind as we move through the weekend. But again, not expecting all that much. And that's good news, especially for amateur radio operators and emergency responders who really need both dayside and nightside to be a bit quiet right now. Now, switching to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week, we are sitting well in the triple digits for solar flux. We're sitting about 160 right now. We might actually dip down into the 150s here over this next week if those active regions on the far side of the sun really don't amount to all of that much, because we have that Gannon region really rotating to the sun's far side here over this next week. So we are still expecting moderate noise on the bands. We do have a lot of active regions, and a few of them, like region 2730, are firing off low-level M-class flares every now and again. NOAA's giving us about a 35% chance of M-class flares at the R1 to R2 level, but only about a 5% chance of X-class flares at the R3 level. And this I'm going to continue easily through Saturday, likely around Sunday. I may drop it a little bit, because I do think that we are going to see less of these big active regions. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because this is really good news for those who are having to work Hurricane Beryl. Luckily, moderate noise, it's got the low end of moderate noise. We might even dip into minor noise on the bands. So just understand that you will have decent radio propagation on Earth's dayside, and that should continue throughout this week. So the space weather this week is staying quiet, thankfully. We do have a couple mild solar storms that have been hitting Earth over the past couple days, and a couple more that will hit Earth right around the 4th and possibly into the 5th before things calm down. Aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you might be able to celebrate the July 4th holiday with a little bit of aurora, but those at mid-latitudes will likely have to sit this one out and wait for bigger storms later. But this is good news for amateur radio operators and emergency responders, especially those responding to Hurricane Beryl. We do have only mild storms, which means that we likely won't have much of an impact on Earth's night side, and on Earth's day side, well, we're not getting the big solar flares right now. The sun is taking it easy on us, and it looks like those conditions will likely continue as long as the new small regions that we're seeing on the sun's far side continue to stay quiet over the next few days. So that's great news. And now, you GPS users, again, if you are doing UAV drone activities with search and rescue for Hurricane Beryl, it looks like GPS reception will stay pretty good for you, both on the day side and on the night side. You might need to calibrate your magnetometers often, but make sure you have some decent night lights, because that moon is going to be new, and so it's going to be dark. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Always a great report from Dr. T. We thank her. She is such a great resource and a great team member here at Ham Nation and Amateur Radio Newsline. At Tamitha Skov on X, Tamitha Skov on YouTube, and spaceweatherwoman.com. Now, in all seriousness, we do have a winner for the Young Ham of the Year award, and that will be announced on Friday in the upcoming Amateur Radio Newsline report. And then we'll, hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have her here on Ham Nation. So to find out who it is, just be listening to your regularly scheduled Amateur Radio Newsline report coming out on Friday, and you will learn who this amazing young person is. And now over to Amanda, where she's up in the mountains, where it's considerably cooler than the 88 degrees in this studio, I'm sure. Amanda, go ahead.
It is. It is a lot cooler, and I just want to say hi, Dr. T. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Always a wonderful report, by the way. Don't forget to follow her on all of her socials.
Absolutely.
Josh, do you want me to do radio stuff first, or do you want me to do Ham it or Can it first?
Well, I think you do the radio stuff. I'm the most excited about that.
Let's do radio.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see the satellite
Yeah,
reporting
yeah.
from Amanda
Okay.
here. This is going to be amazing. So
Yes,
Amanda
I
is
am
on site.
Starlink, so
She's
I
going to
am,
walk us
and
around.
Josh is gonna take that.
And she's got Jeff the cameraman. There he is. Everybody say hi.
All right.
Uh-oh, we lost her.
Jeff's
They're back,
magnetic
they're back.
personality gumming up the works again.
This is a live show, people.
We are. We can wave to Jeff.
Flip
We
the
we
camera,
so rarely
Jeffrey.
see him.
The camera should be on this.
God, he's so handsome.
Isn't he handsome?
Well, kind of.
Tell me how to flip the camera. I don't know how to
Okay.
flip it.
All right.
It's there.
No.
So
Yeah.
you.
This.
Oh, he wants to flip the camera. I think
I
it's
see.
fine, but okay. So Jeff, come closer.
There
you go.
Nice fingers,
Here's the
Jeff.
705.
Jeff's fingers.
Your fingers.
This is beautiful.
All right, let's see if we can flip the camera.
Yeah, he
for
needs
him.
that camera flipped, Amanda. So I take your time. Well, it's okay. Hey, live. Trust me, as
Anyone
someone who
using
does
a
remote
tablet-
ham radio and tries to live stream occasionally, I know how it goes. You're fine. You're doing great.
Anybody using a tablet can tell me how to quickly switch this camera would be great.
There should be a flip button on Skype. Is there not?
Yeah.
No, I have to turn the camera on and turn the camera off.
All right, we see you now, so that works.
You're good. You're good, Amanda.
Maybe under the camera
But we
drop
can't
down, you got
flip
the
it.
flip.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I work with it.
That's fine.
Beautiful.
Sorry.
All
Sorry,
right.
Jeff.
It's fine.
He'll do his
So
best.
anyhow, we have the 705 here, and this is our table, and this
Watch
is
your
my
meat
camera
hooks,
set
Jeff.
up for. What he's saying is that your finger is blocking. There you go. Okay.
Perfect.
So we also have our Kenwood and another Icom up here. This is for our VHF and UHF setup.
Oh, wait.
that
Quick,
we like to
Amanda.
list-
They said double tap the screen. Double tap the screen.
Double tap.
Yeah, so Jeff doesn't give us the finger anymore.
Double tap the screen.
I'm double tapping.
Oh,
Well, that
dang.
worked good.
Okay, well, we tried.
It
All right,
makes
never
it
mind.
bigger and smaller.
Okay. Well, we tried. Thanks,
never
guys.
mind.
Jared, you're in timeout.
All right. Good dog, Jared. Now you can see the dog. Hi, dog.
Oh.
Oh, aren't they cute?
There's radio and Delta. And we
Oh.
got other radio junk laying around. All right. Follow me outside, everybody.
All right.
What a nice camper, too. Great setup.
It is nice.
Oh.
Now watch,
Thank you.
watch your step.
Oh, I wish I was there, man. Look at that. Oh.
Oh,
Isn't it beautiful
yeah,
out here? You can follow me around. See the mountains behind us. All the aspens. Okay. Now over here, we have our mast set up. Can everyone see the mast? Jeff has to turn that way. There you go.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, with the
There it
flag.
is. Yep.
Look at
With
that.
the flag, yeah.
Yeah.
good.
Okay, yep, with the flag. Of course we had to hang a flag.
Oh, and you got.
So
there
this
it
is that's our nice fiberglass mast that we got. And we have our screwdriver on the very top. Delta enough. And if you want to see how it's mounted down here, you can take a look. You can get it up closer, just so, because everyone's always like, well, it's great that you have this, but how are you actually mounting it, or how are you
that's
actually
great.
using it? So
Yeah.
yeah, so this is how it does it. And then around here,
Is there a grounding lug or
kinda made
something for radials?
is there a grounding lug, or Jeff can hear you? Yes?
I didn't fully deploy.
They have not been fully deployed yet.
Okay. Okay.
So then we made kind of a pass through down here.
look at that.
You can come closer. Jeff.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay.
See
Yeah.
it. Yep.
So that comes through, and that's underneath the
Mhm.
our bench seat. underneath there. So anyhow, and then yet we have our VHF UHF. So we'll get this installed probably tomorrow because it's getting late and it's starting to get cold here. But we'll have that so we can listen to Simplex, listen for some sodas, things like that. I don't think we're going to have any tropo here.
That's a perfect tropo antenna. Perfect tropo.
Yes, it is.
VH
so
Jeff and UH Jeff.
Jeff is eye rolling right now.
What are you going to be plinking with, though? I see you're hanging steel right behind you.
Oh yes, that is yeah. You know, we're in the force, so we can do put a couple rounds down for practice.
I love that.
But isn't this a great view? We got a beautiful valley here.
That's cool.
Wow.
The tablet really doesn't do it justice. That's all I can say. So
that's beautiful.
Beautiful sunset you guys
and
have.
It's nice and green.
Yeah.
It is.
One little cloud up there, purely decorative. I love it.
Oh, and we didn't even show you. We have Starlink as our connectivity. Everybody. Yeah. So
it's working well.
We have that. Just gonna go around so you can actually see it. Can you guys see it?
Yeah,
Yep.
I gotta say, respect respect is due. They're in the middle of nowhere with no signal at 10,000 feet, and they're doing pretty well with the Starlink. So I begrudgingly say, nicely done, Starlink.
Thank you. Yes, and you can see us on APRS. So if you want to find out where we are, look for K1DDN-9. You can see exactly where we are. We are in the Pike National Forest. So tomorrow, or maybe the next day. Tomorrow we'll probably just chill. But maybe Friday we'll do a POTA activation because we are in Pike National Forest.
Oh, good.
And, I'll have to document. This is my first Parks on the Air ever.
Yay! So, yes.
All right. All right, Amanda.
I'm pretty excited about that and looking forward to some pileups. But we're also going to be trying the 13 Colonies QRP. So with the 705, we'll see how that goes. A good challenge because usually we get it nailed in one day. This ought to be a lot of fun. So, Josh, any questions in the chat room? We can come back inside.
Well, I will say nobody just roll up on them just because they're beaconing APRS.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You know they're armed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Make sure you send an
And
APRS message before you come and knock it.
What you're going to lack in power, you're going to gain in altitude with that.
So
705.
it's a hard 4-wheel drive road that we're on. So this is not for your Priuses. Okay. They're not going to make it. You're going to have a 4x4 to get where we are.
Yeah, what park are you in again, Amanda? We're going to try and look up the identity. What is
Pike
it?
National Forest.
Pike National Forest.
Pike.
Okay, we're going to try and look up the POTA location because maybe we'll do
for you
some
Star
contacts.
Trek nerds. That was the Enterprise's first captain, Captain Pike.
Yep, indeed.
Really?
Yep, Captain
I did
Pike.
not know that.
Just a font of useless information.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
This is a nice setup.
Thank you. Okay, so y'all get to watch and see if we can make a contact here.
All right, so Amanda,
I'm on 7210.
Amanda, if you're logging this, you're at Park US 4404. You might want to write that down. So when you make a contact with someone, you just want to tell them that you're at US 4404, and then somebody can spot you once you make a contact.
Let me lower this rate. So, viewers, if you have your HF rigs nearby, get on and listen here.
And we'll just do Ham Nation spotting. You're on 7.210. Yep, there it is.
Okay.
So CQ Parks on the air.
Kilo 1 Delta November. CQ Parks on the air. I feel so weird saying that. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. Kilo 1 Delta November. SWR is good.
You're going to have people on you in a second.
CQ. Kilo 1 Delta November. Parks on the air. Parks on the air. Kilo 1 Delta November. No. CQ. Parks on the air. This is Kilo 1 Delta November. Parks on the air.
I cannot hear you down here because I'm in South Mississippi and half my antenna is on the ground.
You only need 10
I can
watts.
sort of hear her but way in the background.
Down in the noise, huh?
Good signal, but just band condition.
CQ, Parks on the air. This is Kilo 1, Delta November, QRP.
Yeah, half
All
my
right.
antenna fell on the ground, so I can't hear anything right now.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Well, I gave it a shot, and I was really hoping for 20, but we're having some SWR issues. So we need to work that out.
Oh,
to
yeah,
bring
because
the
you haven't
antenna back down
deployed
and-
those radials like Jeff was saying. They're not fully deployed, so that could
Right.
be.
That's
so you,
correct.
So
you know,
you'll be at 4404 though, so keep an eye out for Amanda. And this is her first POTA, so if you do hear her, spot her, okay, guys? So she could use the help with QRP.
Yeah,
So make sure
definitely.
you spot for her. She'd appreciate it. All right.
Very cool.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, we should wrap this up. It's Independence Day.
Yeah.
And we should let everyone get to their barbecues. We have to wrap things up. It's starting to get cold here. You already had to put on coat.
you gotta finish the ham setup and then fire off some rounds before it gets dark. That's what I would be doing right now.
Absolutely.
Target deployed.
Yeah, exactly.
Warm things up with a little muzzle flash action.
No, I heard her, but way in the background. But you were there, Amanda. So there's some RF getting out.
You've got a long
well, I might
wire,
have to
right?
tune into the.
Yeah, right here.
Oh, and we do have our D5 RV that we might deploy later on this weekend. So
yeah,
we'll have something to fall back on. But I'll try to listen in on the HF net on 7192 by Kev. And hopefully I can at least listen to everybody check in. I don't know if anyone will pick me up trying to check in or not. But so there's that, 7192. And let's see, we got 20 at 14268. And D-Star 14 Charlie. And everybody, once again, I just want to say be safe. Have a wonderful extended weekend. Happy Independence Day, America. And thanks for being here tonight. Anybody else have anything? Gordo, Don?
Nope, I'm done.
I will be live streaming this Saturday, but I'm probably going to try and get a POTA in on Friday. I'm hoping I can get the time to do that. I may drag the kids out with me, so a prolonged POTA, because it'll be a little effort to wrangle them all around, but I'll do my best. But yeah, that's it for
All
me.
right, well, have fun with that, Josh.
Young
Thanks
Ham of the
for
Year
the show
announcement
tonight.
on Newsline. Young Ham of the Year announcement on Newsline Friday. Don't forget that.
Friday.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
All right, and those of you in Utah, I'm going to be in Amanda's area, and that is weekend after next, the big get-together in Utah, St. George, Utah.
Is that the HamCon, Zion?
It is.
Yes, that is the HamCon convention, weekend after next, 2 days, and we'll be there. Gary and Debs with American Radio Relay League instructors. We'll be talking to instructors how to get on to instructing ham radio.
Yeah,
cool.
check them out, guys. HamCon Zion. This is their first year. I'm trying to get the time to get out there. I really want to go because I got to support the western side of the country's ham fest. So I'm going to do my best.
You take over and I'll support.
No, you got to go too. You got to go too. We're all going.
It'll be warm up there, though.
Put it on your calendar for 2025, Josh. Colorado's hosting it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gordo, Josh, calendar.
I love
okay,
Colorado.
I'll send
You don't
the
have to
date.
twist my arm for Colorado. I'll fly up there in a minute. I love Colorado. Oh boy.
Sounds
Okay.
awesome.
All right. Well, look forward to that. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. We have so much fun doing this, and thank you for all the support. We got a number of super chats. We don't normally get that, and it really means a lot. So, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Until we talk to you in 2 weeks. See you in 2 weeks. Next Wednesday. 2 weeks. 2 Wednesdays from now.
The 17th.
The 17th. 73. Everybody. See ya.
7-3.
Be safe on the 4th. Be careful.
Yeah. Don't do anything bad to
Blow
yourself.
nothing up.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh.
And yes, we know the mics are live, guys. We're saying goodbye. This is like the